Hey, welcome to the FTR Network. Today we have received Wyrmspan. It hasn't hit the market yet. We've done a pre-order through Stonemaier Games. It's designed by Connie Vogelman, art by Clementine Campardu, and developed by Elizabeth Hargrave. We love Elizabeth Hargrave. We have all the Wyrmspan expansions, and we have Mariposas, which is also her game. It's a beautiful butterfly game. So of course we had to get this one. And we've played it twice through, and I already love it. All right. Okay, I want to take a second to talk about some of the dragons. So there seems to be 4 kinds of dragons. There is helpful, as you can see here with the green. There is aggressive. There is playful. And there is shy. And there's also 4 categories of size. You can see the medium, hatchling, large, and small. And the types of resources you need to play them are meat, gold bar, amethyst, milk. And now this is a little something different if you're used to Wyrmspan. This will be different for you. This is the excavation card that you use to be able to open up a spot in the cave to be able to entice and play a dragon. So you have different things that happen with these. Like for this, you'll gain a resource and lay an egg. This one you can immediately play another card with a discount of an egg or a food. And then there's this kind where you gain Dragon Guild, which we'll talk about. And then there's also up to 3 times you can pay a food to lay 2 eggs. And then each opponent can do this 1 time. And there's a variety of those. Some of them is like cards. So it's a mix of like eggs, food, and cards. And then over here you have something like tuck 2 cards from the deck behind any dragon. So there's a variety of things that you can do. Okay, so I want to talk about this part here. This is very similar and comparable to the end of round goals that you are familiar with in Wyrmspan, where you have to complete something and then you get either first place or second place or third place depending on your opponents. Like for example, hatchlings on your player's mat. So say you have 2, your opponent has 3, they would get first place, you would get second place. And each time you switch to a new round, you obviously refresh the dragon cards and the excavation cards, and everybody gets 6 coins and they get 1 egg. Now, these coins, everybody will get 6 at the start of each round. And for me, in my Wyrmspan brain, they're the equivalent of these babies here. It's like a move. Everything you do pretty much costs a coin. So if you'll see here, you need a coin to enter the cave. You need a coin to excavate. You need a coin to entice, which is pretty much playing a dragon. So yeah, you need coins for all kinds of things. But at the last column in this one, you can exchange 3 resources, being food or cards, and get an additional coin, which is like an extra turn. And sometimes you get an additional coin in other places, such as playing a dragon, you'll get that bonus, or some of these excavation cards will have them. Now this is a totally different thing compared to Wyrmspan. You have the Dragon Guild. This is something that you will get to do pretty much every time you go into your cave. So you have a little guy and you go start there to go into your cave. You get a food here because in this one is food, this one is cards, this one is the excavation cards. So you'd have your dragon card here, and you would, if there's an action, they're like an activate type of brown power like in Wyrmspan we're familiar with, you would do that. But this is a once off, play 1 time and then you do that and then you don't get to do it again. And then you come over here. This is this guy right here, the guild. So you get to move your little man over here and then you would get whatever is corresponding to the spot that you're on. And sometimes you'll have an option to have 2 moves at once, to like with like a dragon that you're playing or with an excavation card, and you would get everything that you bypass. So say you got 1, 2, 3 moves, you get the egg, you get this meat, and then you get a card. So that's how you get extra things. Now, once you come down to here, you have an option to put one of these little markers on any one of these open spots. So depending on what you want, you would pick and do that. Okay, so now I'm going to talk more about the player mat and some specific moves here. So you have your first column is already excavated, so you would just play your dragons there. Okay, with each move you play a dragon, you pay the corresponding food and one of your tokens. And when you want to start putting some more dragons, now you have to start using the excavation cards. So you would put that right in there, and that costs a token because it's a move. And then you get whatever benefit is listed on the card. And now once that excavation card is there, now you can play another dragon in here. And you can do that all along your board. Once you get to the end and this is completely filled, there are some additional things you can do for moves. So let's talk about turns. So on a turn, you will do one of the following things. You will excavate, which is playing these guys. And it costs, as you can see, a coin. Play the thing and then gain or do whatever it says. Another option you have is to entice. That's where you play dragons. And that costs 1 coin plus whatever is on here. Some of the dragons will cost an additional coin. So it can get pretty pricey, but some of them have some pretty good benefits. And another thing you can do is explore, which is this little guy here. And he will go into one of the caves and he has to pay a coin the first time he goes that round. The second time it's a coin and an egg. And the third time it's a coin and 2 eggs. And that is per round. Once the round is over, these are cleared out and you start all over again. And then the little expedition guy, he starts here. He gains a food. If there's an action here, he does that. Then we do the guild move. And then if there's an action on this, we do again. And then we go here and there's another food. And now that's it. He can't go any further because the cave is closed, basically. And then if you wish to go over here, this is where you gain cards. You gain a card here. And now over here, this little guy has an action you can do. So you can cash a milk from your supply. And anytime you cash the milk, you gain an amethyst. When the third one is cashed, you also gain 2 guilds. So that's how you can move more than 1 time on the guild. And then you would go here and then you would stop because there's nothing else. And then lastly, over here, if you want to get an excavation card, you'd start, you get one there. And then you go on this guy. This is a round end, so you don't do anything there right now. And then the guild. So those are your moves. That's how you pay for the moves. So it's excavate, entice, or explore. So just to summarize, the dragon powers are when played, when activated, end of round, and end of game. So that is very comparable to Wyrmspan. And also there's the eggs. At the start of each round, you get an egg to put right there. And then anytime you fill up all your spots to this point, then you'll start getting additional eggs. But you also get eggs from the guild, and sometimes you get eggs from excavation cards and dragons. So there's other ways. At first, when we played it, I was like, this is feeling a little bit scarce because you don't really get a lot of cards. It's hard to get more cards because in Wyrmspan, you can usually get 2 cards, 2 food, 2 eggs. Here, it's not like that. But when we played the second time around, it worked, and we were still pretty much able to fill our mat and get pretty decent points. So, you know, you'll get there. Do your first game, learning curve. Next game, it's going to be good. And you start to click in the Wyrmspan way and the differences and how it works. So basically, the only dragon that you need to pay eggs for are hatchlings. Whereas the other dragons, it's just the resources of either meat, gold, or amethyst. So you don't need the eggs as much as you do in Wyrmspan for spending. But when you excavate, The last 2 columns, you will need eggs to excavate that. And it's 1 column, 1 egg for the first column, and then 2 eggs for the second column. So I just want to say a couple things that I do like versus I don't like. Okay, I love the artwork, of course. It's always beautiful. I love the player mats, the tokens, the cards. Everything is always just so wonderfully done. The thing that I didn't like is that there was no tray to put the cards in like you get with Wyrmspan. Luckily, I have a spare Wyrmspan tray, so I will be using that. And I feel like that's probably the only thing that I don't appreciate is the lack of the tray. Otherwise, it's pretty top notch. Definitely get this game, especially if you're a Wyrmspan fan, and especially if you're a Dragon fan. I think you will really enjoy it.